Hello, I'm Jenny from Mumshed, and today I'm going to show you a quick and easy project using my own product called SculptJin. So, what is SculptJin? It comes in 3 different colours: brick brown, coal black and clotted cream. It's an ideal medium for all mixed media projects, big and small. It's a liquid-based product and works best with natural materials like cottons, lace, denim, paper and cardboard. Once you've massaged into the material, it'll allow you to sculpt and shape your materials onto a variety of different substrates like wood, glass, ceramics and canvas. And I'm going to show you a quick project of how to do that. Now, the first thing you want to do is you need to put some gloves on, because SculptJin can get very messy and you don't want to ruin your nails if you've got nice nails. And then the next thing you want to do is give your bottle a good shake, and it's best to pour out a smaller amount as opposed to loads, because you can always add but you can't take away and you don't want to waste your product. So lid back on, and then choose your piece of material. And like I said earlier, this works better with more natural materials like cotton material. So dunk it in, and then you need to massage the SculptJin into all the fibres of your material. So just give it a good massage. And I tend to, if I know I'm using a darker colour, I will use darker materials if I've got it. So massage all the way in. And sometimes it helps if you hold it up to the light, so you can see bits that you might have missed. And it's always best not to overload your material with too much SculptJin, otherwise it will take ages to dry. So if you were to put too much on, I would grab another piece of material and I would wrap that in it, so that you're not wasting anything, and then put that to one side and use that one later. So once you've massaged it all in, and as we're making a fridge magnet, we don't need lots of material. You need to lay on a surface that is non-porous. And this is the fun part, because you get to sculpt your material into any shape that you like. Now, I like lots of folds, and that will become apparent later when we colour it. And I'm taking one of my little plaster Paris faces. I'm going to get a brush and dunk it in, and I'm going to paint the back. It acts like a glue as well as a paint. And then coat the front so they're all the same colour. Put a little bit more on. And then place my face onto, and then push. You have a bit of working time with this. It's not going to dry straight away, so you can play for a little while until you get what you like. And once you've got your basic shape that you like, I quite like that shape, and then you can introduce new materials to, so I've got some black, it's from Halloween I believe. I quite like this because it's quite nice when it's dry. So again, I've got enough left in my tub, so you can see I'm not wasting any product whatsoever. And then you do the same again, you'll get a feel for it. So I'm massaging the product again into the material, making sure it's all coated. and then I'm going to place over. So this is a bit like a turban, really. So you can do whatever you want. The world is your oyster with it. You can make whatever designs you like, and then press it down so that this piece of material adheres to this piece of material underneath. And so I have my basic shape, and I'm not adding anything else to this at the moment, so I'm going to go off and I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer to speed up the drying process. So I've just used a hairdryer over this to make sure it's touch dry, but what I personally like to do if I'm doing one of these, because I'm not adding it to another substrate, so I like to flip it over, because the moisture, because this is non-porous that I'm working on, will get trapped in there and that will take forever to dry. So I like to flip it over, and it's a bit floppy, and then dry it a bit so that it's touch dry, and then I'll flip it back over again. So I've dried this one off as much as I could with the hairdryer. It's still floppy, but we'll need to dry before the next part. We can carry on with the next part. So I would put this on a piece of tin foil, and I place it, me personally, I place it on my log burner so that it can gently dry off to get to the next stage. But for video purposes, here's one I made earlier. And this one I made this one 2 days ago, and it's hard, but eventually it will get to this hard. But this is dry enough for us to add some colour to our fridge magnet. So to colour, I use mica powders, and I have a selection here. I never know which colours I'm going to use until I do like the metallics. So I think I'm going to go with these metallics, and I use a varnish. For this project I'm using a varnish from Polyvine, and this is a gloss finish, but you can use a matte finish. So pour out a little tiny piece of your varnish onto a mixing mat if you've got one. I'm using a poly bag at the moment. A flat brush is better for raising over the thingy. So I'll show you what I mean. So you need a tiny piece of varnish, and it's dry brushing. So it literally is dry brushing. Less is more, because you can always add more on if you want to. Other people have different techniques to do this, but this is how I do it. So I'm just wiping off the excess so that I don't have loads. Now you want to gently lay your brush flat, so you're catching all the high points with your colour. And you're just gently going over the tops. And this is a process of building up your colours. And a little bit of powder and varnish goes a long way. Keeping your brush flat all the time. So So we're just going over that face. I'm just catching the nose because that's the highest point of the face. And now I'm going to add in another colour. Always put your lid back on so you don't knock it over. And I'm going to choose I've got a bit of blue here. Again, tiny amount on the brush. Notice I didn't clean my brush. I'll use it in the same spot because it's all going on the same thing, so it'll all be blendable. So again, tiny amounts. Now, if you wanted to, if this was really, really dry, you could paint it. If you wanted to change the colour of it, you could put paint, acrylic paint, chalk paint. I don't advise gloss paint because it takes forever to dry, but you're not just limited to mica powders. But mica powders, I like using mica powders because they dry really, really quickly as well. So I'm digging in a little bit deeper. I'm going down to another level just with the brush, just to get some more colour on there. And now the elements are popping up. On this one, I've added a few little embellishments. Unfortunately, I don't have embellishment with me here today, so it's a little bit different to the other one I created earlier. I'm just going to choose a colour. Right, instead of purple, purple would look nice on this one. Exactly the same. Tiny bit of thingy. Dunk your brush in there and it will collect. And you can see that it's dry on there. Wipe off in there so you don't have too much on here. And then add. Now I'm lifting my brush up because I'm going to take it deeper. So some of the black's covered just a little bit with the purple. And the thing is, if you were to make a mistake and think, oh, I've put too much of one colour on, it doesn't matter because you can go over it. You could paint over it again with the SculptJin in the same colour, dry it off, and then redo your colours. So it's quite forgiving. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this olive green. So notice I've done like darker colours first and then worked up to lighter colours so that they show up on the top. Just accentuating the highlights of your piece. And then I think to finish this one off, I'm going to go with a goldy bronzy colour. Now this really will pop with this colour. Exactly the same as you've done before. Keep your brush flat for this one because you are only wanting to catch the highlights. This will finish your piece off. Now I'm happy with that piece there. And then I'll dry that off with a hairdryer, and then once dry we'll put the magnet on the back. So now I'm happy with my colourings of my fridge magnets. The last thing to do for this would be to get some glue. You can use PVA. I'm using this one at the moment, which is a glazed gloss, but it's also quite a sticky glue thing to glue on. There is, on the fridge magnets, there is a dot on the back, so that will tell you that that is the back. Don't do the front. So I'm just going to place it there. Now this one you will need to leave to set so the fridge magnet can cure to the back of the piece of material. So that one will be put aside, that side round, and you need to lay it flat so that the magnet does not move. But if you didn't want to make a fridge magnet, you could turn this, you could quite as easily put a brooch embellishment on the back, so make it into a brooch, or you could adhere it to be part of a fascinator. And if you were to make this smaller, you could even turn this into a piece of jewellery as a necklace if you wanted to. Just needs a little bit of imagination to what you want to use it for, really. Here's a collection of some I made earlier for samples, and as you can see, same materials, every single one is different. I've added, I've got a bag of broken jewellery, so I've added broken jewellery to some of them, and like I say, after 3 weeks, more or less about 3 weeks, they're solid, so they can, and they sit lovely on the back of the fridge. Again, same materials. I've added a little brooch part for that. This one I've added a couple of plastic diamantes on there, more broken jewellery that coordinated with the colours that I'd chosen for my dry brushing. This one is a spangly one, again, little plastic diamantes, broken jewellery. This one here, this bigger piece, I've glossed the face over for something a bit different. I've added some of my triple thick varnish onto this, and then I've sprinkled glass glitter over the top so that it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, something a little bit different. And this one is just loads of folds. I didn't think it needed anything else, so I've just left it. It's just the black SculptJin and then copper mica powder over the top. I didn't think it needed any more elements to it, and I left it like that. So colours are your choice. I mean, you could go to town with them. You could add lots more things. You could add moulds to them, paint them completely different colours, stick. There's plenty of things that you can stick on there to make them completely different. World's your oyster. Thank you for watching. I hope this little video has inspired you to see what you can do with SculptJin. You can do smaller pieces if that's what you want to do to make the fridge magnets, or you can use recycled things like this old boot, which I've turned into an art piece, to turn it into a vase. I've used wooden round, which has turned into a piece of wall art, incorporating SculptJin. I've also done some SculptJin work on this large canvas, and you could do these exact techniques on a piece of furniture. I plan to do some more videos in the future, so until then, thank you for watching.